Okay, so let's go to these rater errors, diba? We have discussed this a while ago. So the following are rater errors and biases. The first one is the halo error. Now, the tendency to rate similarly across dimensions. There are at least two causes of halo error. The first one is a supervisor makes an overall judgment about a worker and then conforms all dimensional ratings to that judgment. Or second, a supervisor may make all ratings consistent with the worker's performance level on a dimension that is important to the supervisor. So that's what we call halo error, no? The tendency to rate similarly across dimensions. Kana bang murag niingon nimo nga let's go back to quality of work, quantity of work, and the effectiveness of kadtong mga na-identify ganina sa atong example. So quantity of work 5 kay kuan man si Jaka nang she was able to submit the full output pag-abot diri sa quantity of work bisag di good kaadyo nindot ang iyahang output mo ka ay 5 na lang sad kay since she was able to submit on time 5 na lang sad ni tas effective sa to kan interpersonal skills man yata to nakalimot ko so ka ay 5 na lang sad kay kuan mo na gitawag og halo error especially if the supervisor has a lot to rate murag iyahan na lang ng what we call it bana-bana mo na nga halo siya na no substance at all. Okay? Or katong gingon nga a supervisor may make all ratings consistent with workers' performance level on dimension that is important to the supervisor. So mo ka ay di kanang ganahan mo kog ingani ni siya sige la i-rate na lang na nimo diha tanan murag di pud ingon nga jaga pero more on kanang dili na klaro ang pag-rate na sa supervisor. That is what we call halo error. The second is restriction on range error. Now, this occurs when a manager restricts all of his or her ratings to a small portion of the rating scale. Now, meaning to say, managers may focus on particular rating scale than the other, which may result to a poor rating of the employee. So, say for example, may nga ang 3 is poor, ang equivalent sa 3 fair and then 2 poor. So there is a tendency that a particular supervisor would say, naara man dyan ni siya din sa 3 ug 2. This particular employee has never been 4 or 5. Kanang mura gi-restrict ni siya ang range of error according to his arbitrary judgment. No? Imposible ni siya makaabot og 5. No? So that's one of the rater errors and what we call restriction on range of errors. So there are 3 different forms of range restriction that are common. The first one is leniency errors or restricting rating to the high portion of the scale. So it's the kabaliktaran on the kadtong niingon ang supervisor nga di man siya makaabot og 4 or 5 naragyud ni siya sa 3 or 2 or even 1. Or it could be mo siya na 4 5 pa ni siya always imposible jud siguro ni siya mo abot og 3 og 4 kay maayo man gyud ni siya nga employee or maayo ni siya nga worker. So that's what we call leniency errors. Okay, another is the central tendency errors, rating in the middle of the scale. So magkaron kapo na sig analyze mag-feel no kaninga worker kay nara gid ni sa 3 average man ni siya wala man ni siya more of like kanang exceptionary contribution to the company. So nag-error na ka in your rating kaya wag yun nimo siya actually gi-rate as is with the performance. Imo rang gibana-bana sorry ni or kay because that is the middle of the scale. And the third one is the severity errors, rating at the low end of the scale. So mo na tong instead nga maabot kag 4, 5, di ara kas 3, di ara kas number 1 ra tanan. Feel ni mo number 1 ni tanan kay magwa gid ko naka. Wa gid ko ani nga worker nakakita nga ning excel ni siya. So manay gitawag og greater errors, and that happens in most organizations. Okay, so let's move to performance measurement difficulties. So we already had this idea that implementation of measurement or performance measurement is not that very easy. So aside from the challenges, we have these two difficulties, which is the comparability and frame of reference. Now, comparability refers to the degree to which the performance rating given by various supervisors in an organization are based on similar standards. So all throughout the organization, there is only similar or one standard used in the evaluation. The supervisor should use the same measurement yardstick. Now, one of the most effective ways to deal with errors and bias is to develop and communicate evaluation standards via the frame of reference. So, since comparability might have this negative connotation of giving biased evaluation based on similar standards. Now, in order to deal with that errors and bias, we need to develop and communicate evaluation standards via frame of reference. I think I have already discussed what FOR is. So during the FOR training, which uses prepared behavioral examples of performance that workers might exhibit. Now, after rating the performance presented on video or paper, the trainees in a typical FOR sessions are told what their rating should have been. Now, FOR has been consistently found to increase the accuracy of performance rating. So using FOR, the accuracy of the performance rating is actually increased because after FOR, ang ma-gather nimo nga behavioral behavioral examples are those that the members of that particular FOR is giving. Kay murag gihas-has gyud na siya during the FOR unsa gyud nga mga behavior examples of performance that workers might exhibit from the point of view of the employees nga apil sa FOR training. Okay? Okay, so the effective management of human performance in organizations require more than formal reporting and annual ratings. A complete appraisal process includes informal day-to-day interactions between managers and workers as well as formal face-to-face interviews. Although the ratings themselves are important, even more critical is what managers do with them. So in this, we discuss the third and final component of performance appraisal, which is the performance management. So that includes the appraisal interview, the performance improvement, and the identifying the cause of performance problem. Okay, let's go to the appraisal interview. Upon completing the performance rating, the supervisor usually conducts an interview with the worker to provide feedback because that is what actually should be happening. Now, one of the most important parts of the appraisal process, okay, as I have said before, useless lang inyong pag-appraise if you're not going to give feedback to your employees. So many managers dread the performance appraisal, particularly if they do not have a good news to impart. So that's a big challenge on the part of the supervisor, no? How they are going to inform a particular employee that they have a negative or they have a bad news to impart with respect to the result of the evaluation. Performance reviews are sometimes separated into two sessions. The first one is performance review discussion and the second is salary discussion. So, of course, the first one is performance discussion. So this is where the supervisor would actually tell or express, no, the result of the evaluation. And the second one is the salary discussion. So the logic behind this system is based on two assumptions. One is that the managers cannot simultaneously be both a coach and a judge. And two, that if the performance and salary discussion were combined, employees probably would not listen to their performance feedback because their interest would be focused on salary decisions. So some organizations, kung naa na ang ready na ang results evaluation, naa na pod ang decision on what to do with the employee. Are they going to kuan ba kanang i-demote, i-promote, or taganog chance, whatever it is. Of course, kung ma-demote ka, ma-promote ka, or whatever it is, it comes the salary change. So during the kanang excuse me, performance review, manang gi-separate ang performance discussion and the salary discussion for the reasons that I have stated earlier, no? Yeah. Okay. Okay, because formal appraisal interviews typically are conducted only once a year, they may not always have substantial and lasting impact on worker, performance, diba? Kay once a year man, even sa college man, and we only have once a year evaluation. So, nga na, wala siya kaayo, mabag, it will only take effect on that particular date nga nag-feedback, no, based on the result. But then afterwards, kanang makalimot na bitaw ka nga, ay, poor man daig og performance, no? Especially if walay sanction that comes along, no, with the appraisal result. Much more important than the annual interview is the formal day-to-day performance management. So instead of focusing on the annual performance management, there is this particular thing that is most important, which is the day-to-day performance management. Now, supervisors who manage performance effectively generally share four characteristics as follows. The first one is explore the causes of performance problem. So during the day-to-day performance management of your subordinates, you can actually explore the cause. What is actually the cause of the performance problem? So if you are keen enough as a supervisor, you can actually explore, makita naman nimo dira unsa kay rason nga nung naa man siya kaning particular employee has this performance problem. Say for example, tardiness. So in day-to-day performance management, makita nimo diha unsay rason nganong tardy ni siya, nganong permi ni siya ma-late, no? So diha pa lang murag you don't actually need to more like wait for the yearly evaluation. Pwede man nimo makuha on a day-to-day performance management. Another is direct attention to the causes of the problem. Of course, so if you were able to identify particular root cause of the problem, so you need to direct your attention to it. No? So, tagaan na nimo siya sa na action diha palaman. Do not wait for the evaluation. Kay basin day ug ma-solve siya by the time that you conduct the evaluation, the performance of the employee is well improved. Now, giving him a good result. So, at least nakatabang ka sa employee on that event nga na good ang iyahang result because you were able to actually direct your attention to the cause or problem that you have identified on a day-to-day performance management. So, and the third one is develop an action plan and empower workers to reach a solution. So, before pa mahitabo to nga during the evaluation nahimong good ang sa employee because you were able to explore the cause, you were able to direct your attention on the cause, of course, ma-achieve na nimo nga by the time nga mag-perform na og evaluation, nahimo ng good ang sa employee if you have developed action plan to empower workers to reach a solution unsa may solution anang performance problem nga na-identify nimo on a day-to-day performance management. And then, of course, the last one is direct communication at performance and provide effective feedback. So, pwede nga i-call out ni mga attention, no? Call out ni mga, sige, can you come here to my office? Ayaw pa nga saba within the kanang working lobby or whatever it is. Just because you are a supervisor does not give you a license to treat your subordinates as if they are less than you. So, like, yung may patawag nga, nakita na ako ingani ka, sige ka late. And I was able to identify the reason nga, di ay sige ka late ko kay pamasahe. So, what is the action plan ang develop? Hala, sige, pabayloon ka na hong pamasahe. No? So, whatever it is that you came up with, no? And then, of course, you need to feed it back to your employee. But as I have said before, sige, mapila na ko ningon as I have said before, ako lagi po na conscious. So, pwede siya nga di na ka maghuwat og evaluation. You need to feedback on this particular problem that you have identified with your worker, so that by the time when there is a formal evaluation of the worker's performance, mas nag-improve pa. Not just you do not just do that with the mindset or with the purpose of nga igabot sa proper evaluation na makakam up kag kanang good evaluation on that particular employee, but to also empower the employee kay lagi that particular employee would contribute to organizational success. So it is really important that supervisors would also try to implement this day-to-day performance management. Meaning to say, di sa ka maghuwat og lamsa or kanang tinibo na nga evaluation. You need to evaluate your workers on a day-to-day basis. Okay? Each of these characteristics is or are critical to achieving improved and sustained performance.